Welcome to Tunnel Talk, a no facts, all feelings wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Leah.
And I'm James. Hi, guys.
Oh, a tribute to one of the great performers of our time to start things off. James is joining us from our fellow Social Suplex Network podcast, our brother podcast, as we like to call them, One Nation Radio. We are so excited to welcome you today, James.
Incredibly excited. And I believe multiple people this week said that they were looking forward to this.
Yes. Yes. They're expecting you to verbally beat me up. I suspect.
That's not our style. That's
James,
not our style.
You've been cyberbullying us for over a year. What do you have to say for yourself?
I would say that is very white woman of you to just say that, like, I bullied you when I did not.
Walked into it. Walked right into it, Leah.
No, it's true.
I think falling back on the femininity immediately was like, that's
Look,
so
look
delicate.
who came
so
prepared.
Delicate.
Look who came prepared to meet the accusations.
So
James, do you think I can title this episode James Boyd's Ultimate White Woman Review?
Oh my God. There are so few things that I loathe more. It bothers me to my core when y'all do it. I've tried to play it off.
I haven't done it.
This is one of the few things that's like,
I haven't done
enough is enough and it's time for a change.
This is your platform, James. You tell him. You tell him. We got your back.
No, but you know how it is when people tease you or troll you. Like, it's only going to make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to stop there. It does get to me, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Well, you're not going to get it from us. You're only going to get support and questions from us tonight, and they won't be about white women reviews of any sort.
No,
they're going to be about lots of other stuff that you're going to love to talk about here on Tunnel Talk.
And I think, James, if at any point you want to talk about like how handsome Chuck Taylor is and how good of a wrestler you think he is, that would be like really welcome, I think.
Chuck Taylor's a very, 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 very good tag wrestler.
Yes.
Oh,
I have never denied his talents as a wrestler.
No, I believe you called him a loser a lot, though.
But then you said loses. Someone has to lose. You said it's so important for someone to be the loser.
Yes, that is his role. Like, so for example, as you've heard me melt down a couple weeks ago about my beloved World Wondering Stardom, and like they're changing direction. Like, one of the things that they get right in Japanese wrestling when they have the factions is like there are hierarchies. There are slots. There's a 1 to 2 or 3 or 4, and it goes down. And once you get past your number 3, the forwards, they eat a lot of pins. They serve their role. Like Willer Yuta is the pin eater in Blackpool Combat Club. He's a perfect example, right?
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara for Jericho, his multiple iterations, whether it was JSA or whether it was Inner Circle, was a pin eater for Jericho.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they are a loser by that being their role. Not that they're not good wrestlers.
Yeah.
Like, and in fact, in Joshi, like a lot of my favorite wrestlers that some of my, as you call, special guys are the losers. Like, so for example, right, there's a woman named Saya Ida in Stardom, and she debuted at the beginning of 2019, and they have a futures belt. They have a juniors belt, basically, not by weight, but by like experience. So either at first it was like 2 years or less of experience or under a certain age, right?
That's fun.
So she won it like in the last basically like the last 6 months before she would have had to like relinquish it or whatever else in the three-way match. I cried. It was an opener of a pay-per-view. So don't get me wrong, like there is a place for losers in wrestling. I just understand like that they're losers or whatever else. And I'm not saying that to be I'm saying it'd be funny, but also acknowledge like that's their role. You have to, in order to have roster positioning, you have to have winners and losers, unless you start doing the 50-50 stuff, which then makes people feel less like special.
Right. Actually, I feel like that's been interesting over the course of our time watching wrestling. I have like become more cognizant of 50-50 booking stuff and like some of the ways in which it can make things feel less meaningful, but also sometimes I'm like, oh, I guess I understand why this is happening. It's complicated. James, we asked you to come prepared to join us in our favorite activities. This is Leah's favorite thing to do every week. Is share something that was making you happy this week. Are you prepared to do so?
Yeah, I am.
right, hit us.
So, for those may know or may not, like, I have a little cousin that lives with me, and he was born 2 months premature, so he's a small guy, and he did like a orientation summer school camp because he was going into 6th grade to go to middle school, and in the middle of it, he ended up getting like thrown around and roughed up a bit in a fight. And it wasn't his fault by what everyone says. So we recently put him into Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And like school started 2 weeks ago, or this is the 2nd week of school, and something already happened, and like he didn't start it, but he finished it. So that kind of made me happy for the fact that like,
yeah,
it's one thing when you're me and you're big all your life. Like I think I got to high school at 6'2". I'm 6'4". Wow. Yeah, my growth spurt was early. I didn't get the late one. I thought I was going to be in like 6'10" or some shit or whatever, but it didn't happen. So like for me, there is no, get into a fight and you get cool points for it. This doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But for him, I think it was one of those things where like he got a victory, so I'm happy. I was happy for him. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not condoning violence, but I do condone defending yourself in this time.
So,
that made me happy.
When of course it's like you feel good knowing like that he can take care of himself, and that's really nice.
Yeah. And also like it's funny because like I haven't told Rich about it, and Rich recently just started Taekwondo. So like really? now it's a race to the black belt between Rich and Caden. So we'll see who comes out on top. We'll see.
Oh, I'm excited to watch that over the years. As we like to say here on the pod, thank you for your happiness, James.
No problem.
Okay, so we have a lot because we haven't done our podcast since before All In. So we have All In and Dynamite both to talk about. You will be retreading some stuff that you've already gotten to discuss, but we think that there'll be all sorts of new things to discuss here tonight.
I think likely we'll cover a little different than you and Rich.
So we're going to start with some big picture stuff about All In, and then we'll go through some of the different storylines that we're grappling with. We called it a long, cold, drizzly British summer of build, but it has come to an end. We had All In. It's done. What were everybody's thoughts? Good show, bad show? I saw some people call it the best AEW show ever. For me, I wouldn't say that, but where did we land?
No, you want me to go first? I thought it was a great show. Now, I look at the cage match score because I'm a nerd, and I see people, think of this as like one of their 5 or so best shows ever. I wouldn't go that far, but it was absolutely a great show and one of the best shows of the year so far in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing is the main thing, and when you land the main thing and had that many people lose their minds and be so happy and genuinely happy at the end, that's what like the big shows are about. And that's what, pro wrestling is about, is building towards something. And I had lots of questions about this build on Danielson's behalf, but going through the journey of him failing and failing and failing and then putting his career on the line, and then like there's something bigger for him to fight for besides just the title. And it made it to where like he finally broke through. That was just like, even while it's like he's one of the all-time greats. And like honestly, Rich was a CM Punk guy when we were watching WWE. We got back into watching. I was a Danielson guy, Daniel Bryan guy. So like the fact that he was able to now do this twice in 2 different promotions on that kind of level is like, the dude's special. Right. But yeah. That my general thoughts is like the main event is an all-time match, and like so many people were happy about it and over the moon about it, but I think it kind of overrates the show, but I still think it's one of the best shows of the year. But all-time AEW show, I don't think it's in a Mount Rushmore because it's such a high level. It's such a high bar to clear.
Yeah. I had such low expectations for it because I really wasn't like excited for
we were so
basically
cranky.
Anything, so that like it couldn't help but outperform, because when you're really like, I'm only here for Tony and Mariah, and then like you end up enjoying most of it on the card, it outperforms. But I definitely don't think it's my best this year. But then like when I look back, I'm like, it hasn't been the best possible year yet. So
not yet, no. But you had a little bit of a special extra thing because our non-wrestling friend Hannah was staying with you, and she, after years of listening to this podcast, shout out Hannah, without watching wrestling, finally saw some of the action.
She did. And her final conclusion was she'd never do it again voluntarily. But if she got invited to another party where it was on in the background, she wouldn't be mad.
Huge if true.
I mean, that's all you can ask of somebody brand new.
Yeah. I'm interested in what you said, James, about like wrestling is about those big moments, because that's something that I was thinking about with this show, where I had a good time and I did really enjoy the main event. Like, I thought it was a really good match, and then also was just feeling so crazy afterwards, where I was like, what the hell did we do here all summer? Like, that was great, but why did we build to it this way? And then I was thinking about All In as the show that had all of these moments, and being like, I feel like there's something I fundamentally don't understand about this, kind of, where it's, I don't know. Like, I just struggled with it a little bit.
Yeah, it does seem like All In tends to be, I mean, there's only been 2 of them, but a show that is about like the big moment rather than it being like a normal pay-per-view. It is like, it does seem like they're really craving that feel-good moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I think the main thing is, it's a problem is, I always joke that Collision shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, now that we have All Out should not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is happening this year and last year is they are holding stuff off to load up All Out, because it should not exist, and they have to put on a crazy card to bilk people into putting down the money to get the 100,000 buys in the gate. And it worked last year to smashing success. So it's like, they're going to keep doing this again until we eventually say we're not going to spend $50 over, a month's long span for pay-per-views when you only normally was doing like at first like 4 per year. Now it's like it's 6, 7, 8.
I think we're at 8 or 9.
We're at 8 now. Yeah. So like,
I'm very interested to know what they're going to do next year, because next year Y'all-In is moving to like July 25th or something.
Right.
But then Forbidden Door is going to be the week before All Out. So they're still going to have 2 pay-per-views in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But Forbidden Door is always super weird because like it doesn't always fit in with the storyline. So I wonder what that's going to do to the build.
I think that as far as y'all in, I think that'll be cleaner.
Yeah.
It'll be cleaner because it won't have to deal with like moving chairs of the G1 and the Grand Prix from Stardom, now that Stardom's involved. And then also like the like trying to make, get people in and visa issues or whatever else. I think that'll be cleaner now that that'll just be there earlier in July.
Yeah.
Now I think there'll be I don't know about a problem, but the same situation will be happening for Forbidden Door into All Out, where it's like we got to try to build 2 pay-per-views at the same time.
Yeah.
Which, that's they've done it before. I don't think they've ever done it necessarily well, except until the nights of the shows.
Yeah.
Because last year, as much as I disliked the sentiment or the main thing being the main thing of I'm going to say this. I'm trying to say this without being like euphemistic. Like the essence. I'll go with the essence, because I was like, I can't say the meat of the sandwich. That sounds crazy, but
on this podcast you can actually. So.
Okay, yes. Like so. Me and Richie have the joke when like there used to be like a great opener for a show and then like a great finish for a show, and then the rest was like in the in between was bad. It'd be like it's like the meat was trash, but the buns was excellent. But yeah, like that MJF Adam Cole match is the essence of that match is something that I just found antithetical to being the main event of a show that big, right?
Yeah.
Like that is something that should be on the card, but not the main event, not for the title.
Yeah.
And whatever. Like mileage varied on that. The worst I can say about it is it was not my cup of tea. I can absolutely not say that was a bad match. I cannot.
Yeah.
The stuff they did in that match, it was a good match. It was a match that I hated the story of it. Therefore, I dislike it.
Yeah.
But I can't say it was a bad match. But I lost my train of thought of where I was going with this talking about this. But so like that show was still, and also the undercard was fantastic. You know, and then you had All Out where you had Takeshita and Omega, and that was incredible. And that card was awesome too.
Yeah.
So like, the night of the shows, because they load these shows up, I have no problem. Like I don't have that kind of problem with it. It's just the build getting through two of these, and then like be like, I want to see Takeshita and Omega on a larger stage, and then ultimately it's like, nah, we ain't doing that. We're saving it for 2 weeks later and put it in Now Arena, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like, now I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm long-winded.
No, it's not your fault. It's something that always happens to me. Well, I don't know, Leah, did you have something?
No, I mean, I think a lot of things about last year's build really didn't think long term, because I mean, I don't think a lot of it like was a great idea when you look hindsight, but of course it's impossible.
I mean, well, when you have a plan of we're going to have FTR beat the Young Bucks in Wembley to set up the Young Bucks getting that win back in Los Angeles, and then all of a sudden that gets taken out and it's out of the way, and then it doesn't get paid back until a year later. People start asking questions, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
When you have CM Punk wrestling in the basically the opener against Samoa Joe, and then next thing you know, like the very next day he's no longer with the company. That throws things
off a little bit.
Yeah. The vibes are a little whack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what oh no.
Sorry. When Jack Perry loses a match that he had to carry a guy that's not good to being a really good street fight or whatever else, and then all of a sudden he's gone for months, forever. That throws things into whack. So yeah, it was a lot of issues.
You must feel so vindicated by this week. The entire internet is like, oh shit, I don't think Hook is good.
You've been saying it.
James can legitimately say I've been saying that for at least a year.
I've been saying it since day one. It was like he's good at he's good in contact, right? Like he's good throwing suplexes. He's good with the technical wrestling, chain wrestling, running the ropes, striking. Most of pro wrestling in 2024, he's not that good at. Or selling, bumping. He looks untrained at times, except for when he's in contact, which is like, all right, well then, for a lot of people, being in contact is the hardest part. He has the reverse part. So it's like, it hasn't improved over the last however many years now, and now he's wrestling longer matches. And then another part of it that's hurting him is he's wrestling these guys where the things he does well, it doesn't look good, because it doesn't look good when a 80-pound person tries to throw around a 220-pound person.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and you can get away with that if you're building a story that like he's building towards 1 or 2 throws of it, not like he's throwing him around 5 times. Then it starts like, well, how are you throwing this guy around because it looks shitty? As opposed to he's building towards it, he can barely get him up, and then he gets it, even though it doesn't look bad. It's still impressive because he tried and failed, and then he got him. Yeah. Hogan Andre.
Has his style like changed at all, or are the matches just longer so there's more stuff like going on? Like I'm just trying to think, because like I feel like I used to have him in the same category in my mind as Darby, where I was like, oh, he comes in and he like howler monkey. No, not at the same level, James, but like where he comes in and he's like on some big guy's back, just like a howler monkeying. And now I don't think of that the same way anymore. Like, it seems like he's doing more stuff that isn't like, I don't know, small guy stuff.
Yeah, he's I think that he's getting exposed because like he's in there longer. He's just in there longer, and when you're in there longer, that means you have to you have to sell, you have to bump, you have to run some ropes. And before it was just like it was these squash matches or like something like I think the Joe match he had where he ultimately got beat down, but he showed heart. I think that's his best match.
Yeah, that was great.
But outside of that, like the only time he's really been effective is the squash matches.
Yeah.
And eventually people were like, all right, what's next? And I always knew like what's next because like you can make anyone impressive doing 4 moves. Yeah. And that's what I guess him, like that's the history of pro wrestling is like, all right, you put somebody out there, do squashes, eventually you have to go longer. And normally when you put people in a squash match forever and you kind of are like, all right, where's the breaking point on like we find out if this person's actually good? Because once you find out they're not good, it goes bad quick. It can go down quick.
You can't go back. Once you know.
Right.
Okay, well, let's move into some of the storylines. And I think one thing we'll be thinking about as we move through these is a little theory that I'm working on that's if All In is going to have the moments, if that's how we're booking that show, then All Out has to be for freaks. And it has to be for freaks and loonies. And I thought Dynamite this week gave us that a little bit. Yeah. So we'll be touching on that as we move through. We will just briefly touch back on, we'll start by talking about the kind of Danielson Swerve into Hangman stuff. So Danielson did defeat Swerve, we talked about a little bit. And that was thanks to Hangman barging in during the match. Didn't get physically involved. He was hauled off by a swarm of security guards, but broke Swerve's concentration. And Zen Danielson got the win. And we did get some final build stuff at All In, including Renee interviewing Bryan Danielson's wife and a video package of Bryan Danielson meditating. And as James has pointed out, many were very, very happy. And we celebrate your happiness, even if we can't quite match it. But we are happy that the match was very good. Any final thoughts on the build? I will say I saw that Danielson. I can't stop thinking about that Danielson quote where he was like, Swerve rocks, which is obviously completely true. And he really carried me through this build. And I said, well, if you know that, then why did that happen?
The fact that he's flat out was like, Swerve carried me through this made me crazy because I was like, then if you knew enough to know that was what happening, why didn't you help him?
The only theory I can think of is he wanted to make Swerve feel like bigger than he was because he was going to win.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. And like he kind of got out the way and like Swerve's like force of character like took over and basically carried this thing. So that's the only thing I can think of. And ultimately for me, if that is the case, that's very nice of you. However, I wouldn't want you to do that.
No.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying philosophically, but I just don't see how, like, I feel like Swerve would have looked more like a monster, like more, stronger if Danielson had ever like looked him in the eye while he was talking.
And Swerve had some mega cool moments in that match. Like the little like brush off thing. It was just like, okay, you rock and you are giving that guy.
All of my complaints stopped at the door of the match, like which we knew that
they would.
We knew
that's
that
the part that's the part that's frustrating. That's the part that's frustrating. It was like, where you're making we know you're going to give us an all-time match.
Yes.
But you're making your job once the bell ring harder by doing it this way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now when they still do it, it's like it's one of those things where it's like, imagine your high school coach for LeBron James, right? Or some all-time, some guy that's going to go straight to or going to go to the NFL or something like that. And you're like, you have to practice hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like that is what you expect that's what you expect of your teammates. That's what you expect of like trying to build a culture, like the people to be reliable and to take responsibility or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And then like it's like, but like when the game starts, I can just go get 50. I don't have to practice. And it's like but you're setting a bad example.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're setting a bad example.
Yeah.
And it's like, and also sometimes what if someone gets injured and then everything goes for naught?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like you can't predict that like nothing bad is going to happen in a match. Shit happens in every match.
Yeah.
That's unexpected.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's like, you can't, it's, you know, so, but whatever, it worked out.
It worked out. But the other thing is, and this is why I got so salty about people rubbing our noses in, not ours specifically, but people's noses in like, the match was amazing and all of you were wrong. We've said it before. We'll say it again. We show up to watch the show every week. We're trying to enjoy the show every week.
Thank you. Yep.
So it shouldn't just be like, you can't coast on like, but the pay-per-view match is going to be great. Do something to entertain me every single week that I tune into your product.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a TV show, and these pay-per-views function kind of as series or season finales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't give me, you know, like the last 3 episodes or the 3 penultimate episodes of a season not being great and then say, just trust me on the season finale.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not
exactly.
Even if it's great, it's like, well, so why did I watch this then? Why can I just skip? Yeah.
Why didn't I just skip the whole season and just come into the finale? That's what I worry that they're training us to do, is that it's like, you don't have to watch Dynamite. You only have to watch the pay-per-views and you'll get everything you need. It's like, that's not the way it used to be, and it's not the way I want it to be.
Right. Right. But you know, we need the $50 from you.
Yeah, right.
I don't like it when they want that $50 from me and they aren't. I'm like, the $50 is in payment for the past 10 to 12 weeks of entertainment. Like, that's how I pay you for my 10 to 12 weeks of watching the show.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that, but you're right. Yeah, that's how it is. It's like what you've done in this pay-per-view cycle has been has me anticipating wanting to spend money out of my pocket to watch.
Yes.
The season finale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Well, look, they got away with it this time, but
they can't. But the thing is, because they're so talented, and ultimately they're not going to get in the way of themselves on pay-per-view more times than not. They're running themselves into falling to this habit, and then next thing you know, you look up, and then like Dynamite's not must see anymore. It kind of already is, because you got 2 Dynamites.
Yeah.
In theory.
Right.
Even though the second Dynamite should not exist, Tony.
You don't want it to become a situation, and I think this might be, I don't know. You don't want it to become a situation where Dynamite is basically like an ad every week for something that you'll eventually spend money for, like on children's TV, you know, where you're watching a little race car show that's just getting you to buy Hot Wheels.
Right. Yeah, like you are, or hell, like most of those shows were like cartoons. The cartoons were made so they could sell the toys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we might have stumbled onto Tony's business model. So
that's nasty.
Okay, so we did get some Swerve and Danielson separate storylines now follow up on Dynamite this week. So first, we had Hangman fighting Ishii. He won. Swerve came out to confront him about interrupting the match at All In, and told him that he's being a child and that he failed at preventing Swerve from getting the belt, and he'll never be able to take that away from Swerve now, no matter what happened. And Hangman was very emotional. I thought this was such an interesting Hangman promo, because he can be so... I mean, he is so good at promoing, but like clearly on purpose. He was like, I'm not good at anything right now. I'm just screaming like, no, you didn't. I did. No, I didn't. You did. Like, he's just schoolyard taunt stuff, which I really liked. And they ended up booking this steel cage match for All Out. And Swerve, which is gonna fuck.
It's gonna be so good.
And Swerve basically said, it's so crazy, you're just so obsessed with me. Anyway, I did drive to your house one night and sit outside all night, and I did wait and watch for you to take your wife to the hospital to give birth. But this, I would say this is on you. It was like, wow, this is character work. What did you guys think of the promo? And as we saw from James's body language just now, what do you think of the match to come?
Am I supposed to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a guest.
Yes. Fair enough. So I after this promo, I was like, well, this is bigger than the title.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is bigger than the title.
Yeah.
And like I didn't, when I was saying like they didn't need to do Danielson Hangman at All In, it wasn't that the title wouldn't have been fine. It would have been a fitting main event. It was just like the Hangman and Swerve stuff doesn't necessarily need the title because it's so personal that like in a way Hangman has acted all year has not been I want to be the champion. He's been reduced to a toddler. It's like I want to take the toy out of your hand to hurt you, not I want the toy. Yeah. So like for me, it's like so for me it was like it didn't make. And also like he keeps blowing his stack and getting and losing matches because he's losing control.
Loser.
He's losing control. He's so angry.
Yeah.
So like that's why he keeps losing, right? Like Danielson match, Darby match, like so blood and guts.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was like hell. The casino gauntlet thing, same thing. Like he keeps failing because he keeps blowing his stack, right? He's like, why are you out here fighting Jarrett? Because you beat Jarrett already. Why are you it's all this stuff. So for me, it's like this makes perfect sense. I love how like psychotic he is. And like for me, it's like I need Hangman to win the next one because like I want this to turn into like they wrestle each other like once a year. And like whoever loses the last match goes on a psychopathic rage and like loses their minds for like the next year until they can get back to each other.
Yeah,
that's amazing to think of them just constantly flip flopping. It's like two bodies in space. There's no gravity, and they're just spinning around and around.
Like you just said it perfectly. Swerve looked that man dead in the eye and said that you are obsessed with me. You've been in this it's ruined your career, and you were kind of in a crossroads of your career until I breathed life into you for a few matches. I beat you. You've never beaten me. And it's simply spiraling down this path, and now you're back and you're spiraling again. And look at you, you're obsessed. Oh, but you mentioned, by the way, I went to your house again. You're obsessed when I went to your house again. You're obsessed with each other. You're obsessed with each other.
And I really appreciated how much like it felt like Swerve was like, okay, I did my chores, I ate my vegetables, I did all the things I needed to do. Now I get to have fun.
Now I get to lock in and be crazy.
He was locked in the second he stepped out on that ramp. It was eyes on Hangman. He was focused. He was electrified. And his vibe when he was like, yeah, I sat outside your house. Don't make it weird. Of course.
Don't make it weird.
Well, it was really funny to think about like when all of this started between them. I think that Swerve actually cut a really similar promo on Hangman where he was like, where the promo where he was like, you don't take this seriously anymore. You haven't gotten new gear in a year. Like, but
you say you're kind of out of shape now, or your physique isn't what it used to be. Yeah, and like you're kind of like, and this also at a point in time where like, his the first alleged, I don't know, situation like because Adam Page has had a lot of stops and starts over the last 2 years in AEW where he's gone and then he's here and then he's gone, and he's here, and like we know two of them were released because of he basically went on paternal leave, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, that's cool.
Yeah.
But when you're gone, and like you're an essential part of this company. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you owe the fans or anybody whatever else. You put in the work when you're here and you're great, right? But every time, it's like you leave and you get dropped back in. You leave and get dropped back in. You got to find yourself again. Yeah. And that can be very difficult when you do it or when it's happened as many times as him. So like, before he got the match with Omega. When like they took him off air by him losing to like it was the match he had with it was the Elite versus Dark Order and Page, and they lost and they beat the hell out of him after that. And he was gone for months and he came back. This is one of those where it's like he leaves and comes back, and it's like that's really hard to do. So for me, it's like at that point in time when Swerve showed up to him, it was like you're at a crossroads again. You just did this thing with Moxley, and then you continued on, and you're gone again, and then like it's like you're kind of stale, and like I've lost, but like I keep pressing forward, and you keep getting these opportunities, and then he dug into him and talked about all the stuff you mentioned, and ultimately he's like, all these opportunities you've been afforded, like I haven't been afforded, and I'm hungry, and you aren't, and like I find that to be offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hangman for a while kind of just like, hey man, like you are kind of right, so I'm not gonna bark back at you. And then eventually Swerve kept digging at him enough to where Hangman started barking back, and then they started, Nana was starting interfering in matches, and then Hangman was stopped Nana from interfering, which made Swerve go nuts, and then they end up where we are now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it's the same thing where it's like another kind of crossroads for Hangman coming back, losing a bunch, and he's like, he did the same thing to him. The same thing, just
Yeah.
You came back and you say you want to stop something, and it already happened because you failed. And you tapped out because, and let's be honest, you really tapped out because you'd rather lose than let me be the champion. It's like, that's the thing that like Rich was like, what if he actually did do that in a obvious way? It wasn't an obvious way, but the way that Swerve presents it is like, it's persuasive. It's very persuasive.
Yeah, totally. And that's great. Like on both their parts, it's such smart characterization to be like, you probably won't ever know what actually happened. But like the way that we think about it and interpret it impacts our behavior and like how the things that we do and how we treat each other, get mad at each other, whatever. Right. Like it's really good for that to be like, well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome. This was a real fan service for us. This is what I'm talking about when we say we want this all out for freaks.
The line where Hangman said, "I want you on your knees begging." I believe the Social Suplex Network, like Discord, there was just a line of people being like, "Are the Tunnel Talk girls okay?"
We're fine. I don't know if they're going to make it. We had a really nice night, and I read lots of people saying this is what wrestling is. Wrestling is when it is so close to sounding like something else, but it isn't. It's about fighting. It's about fighting.
It's about fighting. That was a very fighting thing to say.
It's about fighting.
Yeah.
James is giving us a bit of a look. He said, ladies.
It was only a matter of time before the horniest wrestling podcast in the world was going to, do their thing. So it was just a matter of time.
That I knew when I said I would come on the show, they would be saying this kind of thing, and I'd say, "Well, have your fun, girls."
Yes. Just un momento, por favor. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going off screen, and I'm coming back.
Okay.
I brought this for y'all. This spray, I will spray y'all. I will spray y'all if y'all keep this up.
James is holding a mist bottle.
We are gonna keep it up. The number of things that happen for us on this Dynamite. He's gonna have to use it. He's gonna have to use it, folks.
He's gonna have to spray us down. We're gonna get too heated.
It's okay. We'll unheat ourselves a little bit. Well, I don't know. This is kind of heated. Let's cut over.
I need to bring a bag of ice.
Yeah. Yes, that would be great.
Everybody likes
the ice. That is so insane. You said something so crazy.
It's the funniest thing I think I've ever heard before.
It would be fun to bring ice because it's dripping all over you or something.
Yes, I just get wet. And I was like, and cool. I was like, what? Excuse me?
Just aggressively said that I'd love to bring the ice in like a weird voice.
No, you said something weird. You said something weirder.
Sometimes I tune into the things I'm saying, and I'm just like, why is that happening?
Yes.
I don't know. It's because you just have to say something to fill a podcast. You have to keep talking. Okay, let's cut over. We'll just talk briefly about, we also got an in-ring promo from Danielson, who said that All In was the greatest moment of his professional career, which is very nice.
Pissed a lot of people off.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
He made people mad?
Yes. How I can't. He must be lying because he main evented WrestleMania 30 and beat Randy Orton and Batista in the same night, and also Triple H.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yes, okay, people were mad because to them AEW shouldn't exist. So
yeah.
Okay, well that's fun. I'm glad that he said that, and I'm glad that he said that about Swerve. He said something else. Oh, he sucked up a little by being like, thank you to the people who started AEW. And I said, our beautiful Young Bucks. Thank you to them. Thank you to Kenny Omega. Okay. He got some points there.
Cody.
And I didn't fill in Tony for myself. And he said that he is going to keep fighting as long as he has the title. He got interrupted by a Jack Perry video package in which, no, I didn't really understand some of what Jack Perry was saying, because he said, nobody believed in me. You could have, but you didn't. And I said, I don't really know why Bryan Danielson specifically. I guess maybe because he's the head of discipline committee.
That must be what it was.
I'm sure. And then
you didn't suffer me in front of Tony.
Yeah. Who started AEW. He attacked Bryan Danielson from behind and he running kneed him. And then he held up his belt that he has that we'll get to in a second, and his and Danielson's belt, and they're gonna fight it all out, I think.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What did you guys think about this choice to launch Lil JB into a world championship fight with Danielson?
I feel like if this was any other venue besides Chicago, he would not be the pick. But regardless of that, it's Danielson and his Jungle Boy. It's going to be a great match. It's a match that Jungle Boy, quite frankly, sort of needs to be launched off in a certain way. Because I feel like the Elite versus AEW thing should have been a bigger deal, but because of injuries and some weird timing things, it wasn't as impactful as it otherwise I felt it could have been. Omega obviously is a big deal about that.
Yeah.
And where Allegiance would have lied. In his interaction with Hangman while Hangman is foaming at the mouth.
That would have been so good.
So yeah, they did the Anarchy in the Arena. He did finish Danielson. He either made him tap out or he pinned him. I can't remember which one. So that was always a loose thread that was there. So that's the reason why they're coming back to this. Yeah. And it's Chicago. And when Jack Perry was in a New Japan, I think it was Wednesday Riot this year, the crowd was going nuts for him. He had him in the palm of his hand. So it's a perfect opponent for Danielson to go out there and be the babyface versus a guy that's going to have a ton of heat. And it's going to be a great match because it's two great wrestlers. Now, as far as, if they didn't have Hangman and Swerve in a cage, would this be something that would be the main or the title match? I don't think so.
Right.
I just don't. But I mean, whatever. I think that they're going with him after it felt like for a while he was going to kind of be the pin eater of the new Elite.
Yeah.
So this is a chance for him to step up against one of the best in the world or one of the best ever. So I expect a really great match, and I'm interested to see what they do on a short build to try to get more out of this Perry character while they still, fresh off of the win over Darby.
Yeah. I think that this could have been really justified if the match at All In had more time, because it wasn't the match that I think that they wanted it to be and that it could have been
short, right?
I think a lot of people said it. I think maybe Dave Meltzer said that it got cut by 10 minutes,
my eyes said it because I was confused. Even I, who barely understands how matches work, I was like, I'm confused about why this is ending right now. But
so if they had been the definitive huge match, it would have made sense for Jack to be able to come off of it and challenge. And I think if they had a little bit more time between All In and All Out, they really could have done something really fun with Jack hating Tony and management and having Bryan be on the disciplinary committee. You really could have done
a suck up with Tony.
You could have really done such a fun build, but there's not enough time. But I do agree that I think it's going to be a really good match, and I think it's a match that Jack needs. So I think it is going to be great.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I saw that some people seemed very upset about it, and I said, well, it seems like it's whack for All Out. That's it's we're going to a crazy place. Yeah, so I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of comparisons about the times that WWE made Danielson champion. They gave him lame first challengers. They gave him Kane after he won WrestleMania 30. They gave him Big Bill immediately coming back from retirement in 2018. Mm-hmm. So, and it's I'm sorry, but I'm supposed to pretend Jack Perry, that those guys are as good as Jack Perry in the ring.
Right.
I understand what you're saying as far as your stature, because they're big, they're big.
Yeah.
And it's New York or whatever else. But cut the shit. Like, they're going to have a great match.
Yeah.
And, like, they'll make it work. Now, you know, I kind of wish that they had stayed with Darby and Jack Perry longer, but
yes,
like they're done with that.
I don't want them to be done with that. I mean, I think they'll circle back on it at some. I think it would be impossible for them not to circle back on it at some point. But I agree that it felt like the build was not everything I think it could have been, especially because it just felt like Jack wasn't. Like, he just wasn't wrestling that much. I mean, it's interesting to say, like, he needs this match versus Danielson, or, like, it'll be good for him, which I understand is because it's, like, Danielson is really good, and that'll be good. But I'm like, what would be good for him is for him to be on TV more often, doing wrestling in front of me more often. That's a little bit how I feel.
That's the biggest confusion with the new Elite stuff is, like, none of them are on TV enough, so I don't know what we're doing here.
They're selfish.
I mean, it just feels like they're all in a holding pattern until Omega comes back.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. And
that's been like the last 3 years. This plane has to touch down at some point. It's not your fault. I'm sorry, Kenny. It's not your fault. It's just your guts. It's not your fault.
It's just, you know, they had the Casino Gauntlet, and like I'm watching that match. It's like Hangman Adam Page is in this match, Orange Cassidy in this match, Kazuchika Okada's in this match. You paid Kazuchika Okada how much money to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling to be in the stadium show, maybe the greatest stadium wrestler of all time, and you have him in the Gauntlet. Okay, look, it's your money, whatever. But that's a hell of a luxury. A hell of a luxury.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did think that was quite strange. I don't know. That Casino Gauntlet was fun.
It was a blast.
It was extremely fun. Yeah.
It was a great match. It was a great match. Undisputably a great match. But I just like, just thinking of the utilization, you're like, that's really what you want to use Hangman Adam Page for, and Okada and Orange Cassidy for?
Yeah.
That's really you know, Hook is on this card in a singles match, right? You know this, right?
You know,
you didn't book this card and didn't realize where you have people in position, right?
You know those TikTok games where it'll be like a category, like, I don't know, Taylor Swift songs, and it'll give you a song and you have to decide where to place it on a list from 1 to 10.
And so then you don't
know what the other songs that are.
Right,
it feels like that's how Tony booked All In, is that he was just being like, I'll probably want that to be like number 3, and then later was like, fuck, I seem to have put a lot of things a little too high on the card.
Wait. So you mean to tell me you put Everything Has Changed at number 3, but Shake It Off now has to go to 9? And like, wait, so why do you put Mean at 5? Why do you put 22 at 4? What are you doing? Yes, I listen to Taylor Swift. Yes.
James is winning big with the Swifties tonight.
He's getting a big bump at this pod.
Hold on. There's a certain era of Taylor Swift that I really enjoyed. And then basically the Red album in the 1989 or the worst.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's kind of like the mileage varies.
Yeah. I agree completely. 1989 really all hits.
Yeah.
Well, Tony made some mistakes on his card. He made a couple of mistakes.
Tony made some mistakes.
That's what we say every week on this podcast. We just like to say Tony made some mistakes. He said, I don't like how those girls are mean to me.
Hey, that's it. Being a showrunner is hard.
Yeah.
Being a booker is hard. Regardless of how good I think Tony Khan has been in general over the last 5 years, nobody's perfect doing this. Nobody.
No.
It's hard.
It's really impossible. Yeah.
And it's true that sometimes there's stuff that you're just like, this is inexcusable to me, or like, I just can't imagine how you would get there. But there also is lots of other stuff where you're like, I can kind of see that some stuff must have been happening behind the scenes that caused us to get here. And it isn't a good place for us to be, but I guess we had to end up somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Everybody was talking this today about like the Golden Jets, and it's like, that was what was going on there. It's, for some reason, they got backed into a corner with the Golden Jets, and we'll never know exactly why that happened, but it sure did happen.
It sure did happen. Yeah, they wanted to go somewhere, and then who knows? Let's talk about one of Tony's.
I mean, you said something happened. I mean, Kenny Omega's guts said, "I got you, bro. I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna get you out of here." Like I remember, like the week before, like I think the go home show, or maybe the week before the go home show for that, and Omega's in the ring, and he had made his face like, "I do not want to fucking be here. This is like this is the shits." Like, fellow Canadian Bret Hart, the shits, and he looked so sad in the ring, and I was like, I remember seeing the picture where he's like, "Bro, Omega looks fucking just." He looks miserable. Yeah. He looks miserable. And then it's like, well, yes, he was miserable because his guts were screaming from
He was on the verge of death.
Yeah.
Was it that we were just talking about it, that promo, there was him and Jericho versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill. And Leah, I think you like to say all of them looked like they weren't sure how they ended up there. They just hadn't thought of a single thing that they were going to say.
All four of them got interrupted at catering, and Tony was like, "You're on in 3 seconds." And they were like, "What?"
That's funny.
Oh my God. And then I believe it was that very night that Kenny almost died, but didn't, thank God. Kenny, we miss you. Come home. Let's talk about one of Tony's many moving parts, Jon Moxley, who returned to Dynamite this week, came through the crowd. He had a new outfit. He had what I believe was his NJPW music.
Yes.
Okay. Head very, very shiny. His little gold hoop earring in, whole new look. And he cut a little promo saying that he's done a lot of thinking. He came here looking for a man to have a conversation. This man is nothing like me, but he's everything like me. I loved that he started talking in a little Sphinx riddle for me, where I said, okay, so it's bigger than a red box, but the man was Darby Allin. He said, "I want to find Darby Allin. This is not your company anymore." And then later in the show, he quoted the Bible backstage and helped Marina Shafir kick some poor rando tech's ass. What do we think about Jon Moxley's return?
I think that when you said he showed up when he was very shiny, I'm going to now have to defend my newfound brother in baldness.
I liked it. It was a compliment.
Now, we don't like being called shiny.
Okay, I'm learning.
You can't say that. Anyway.
Every day I'm learning.
So
I do believe you said he looked like a pirate.
I did. I did say that. I did.
Were there bald pirates?
Yeah. I don't know. Something about it was it's just his little gold hoop earring is
it
so
was
cheeky
the hoop
when
earrings, and it was like the I think he was wearing like a tank or something. He did look like he needed a parrot on his shoulder.
Yeah. You didn't think that, James? You didn't think he looked like a little pirate?
I've never thought of Jon Moxley and parrot in the same sentence. No, that's never quite happened for me. No.
That's new. A new thought to explore.
But yeah, I mean, bald head, hoop earring, maybe he's been watching some Michael Jordan highlights or something. I don't know. At least he didn't do the Michael Jordan Hitler mustache.
I think I remember that.
So Allie's eyes open as if she has never seen it before. So what I'm going to need you to do is go to YouTube. I'm going to go to Google Images, type in Michael Jordan Hitler mustache, and you will see it. It was a Hanes commercial.
Okay, a Hanes commercial.
It was a Hanes commercial, I believe. Yes.
Oh, I don't like that. I do not.
Oh, you don't like the Hitler mustache?
No.
I don't like that mustache.
No.
I know it's been the year of the mustache, but I don't prefer what I'm seeing right now.
I was unaware of it being the year of the mustache. I thought last year was the year of the dragon, but okay, whatever. But
year of the dragon into year of the mustache. What's I thinking?
I didn't know it was on the same thing. But I don't know it was year of the dragon last year. I just made that up for the show. But like the same thing, like you say, I don't like the mustache. Oh, you don't like the Hitler mustache? I think that's kind of obvious. I will hope you don't like the Hitler mustache. Like that's the reason why it was remembered. Is like, why does Michael Jordan out here with the Hitler mustace?
Sometimes something goes without saying, but it's still important to say it. It's still important to just actually say it.
Fair enough. This is an audio form. Fair enough.
Yes. They can't see how my eyes widened.
Yes. So yeah, Moxley, glad he's back. Rich, because he's a conspiracy theorist, at heart is now like really beaming on this thing. Like it's going to be some MMA style like fight club thing or fighting camp thing, which is kind of like what the Diamond Mine thing was in NXT with Roderick Strong. And it can be done well. We just haven't really ever seen it done well because like the people that have been in charge of that sort of thing are like people that don't care about pro wrestling or MMA for that matter.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was actually one of our questions for you. Should we be afraid of Josh Barnett coming?
Okay, so for me, Josh Barnett is not an entertaining wrestler more times than not.
Oof.
So yeah. So if he is coming in, I would be, because like he's also a guy that is you know, like the history of wrestling where it's like some big tough guy or whatever else, so they don't feel like they need to do stuff and do business with people because I'm big and I'm tough, and in real life, if this was real, I would beat you up or whatever else. And it's like, cool story, bro. This is a TV show.
Yeah, you can go beat someone up, but not for my entertainment.
Oh, you don't do that anymore because you can't beat up people that also beat up people anymore. Oh, okay, right. Like so, so yeah, like there's that with Barnett. So if they bring him in, I'm not really happy, but I'm willing to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, like I'm not going. I'm taking it at face value for now, and with him, like cool, whatever else. My main thing is like, before Kingston got injured, I was expecting, I wanted to see some shakeup or some tension amongst Blackpool Combat Club based off of like the respect match or the match where Kingston finally earned Danielson's respect. Yeah, that not sitting right with Claudio, because Claudio and Kingston also have I will spit on this, I will piss on this man's grave when they die type of feud. The same, similar to Cham and Julia, similar with what we have with Swerve and Hangman. And then also was like the part of like, now that Danielson's a champion, Moxie's been going for forever. Now he seems to have a new faction. Is that a potential next opponent on the horizon? Is that like a full gear matchup or something for Danielson or later in the year? Yeah. And also, Danielson's never beaten Moxley.
Right.
So, so there's a lot of stuff there of like the intertension of these guys have been around together since like 2022. And like that's earned time together in the tension of them breaking up and assembling or however they go. And also like now that Pac is in, basically seeming to replace Moxley. Right, like so there's a lot of stuff, and Moxie and Pac hate each other back since 2019 AEW. So like there's a lot of stuff to work there. So so there's a lot of things to play with. I'm interested to see how they make it work. There's more good stuff than bad stuff, but we'll see once this Barnett stuff drops or how this shooter camp thing works out. It's like, you're going to outshoot Danielson.
Yeah,
you're going to out technical wrestle Danielson. All right, okay, bro.
It's interesting because yes, there's like so many rich histories there that they could be playing with, and that I suspect they were going to do more stuff with before the Kingston injury. But it's weird that like, so Claudio and Yuta joined up with Pac, kind of like just out of like, it's like that guy don't have no one and we're missing a guy, so it's just kind of a like, we'll get him in there,
right?
And then they end up on stage while Bryan Danielson is having the biggest moment of his life with his best friends, and then just like Pac, who's just like, it's like
just
Pac
there.
is like your boyfriend that you just started dating 2 weeks ago, and suddenly he's at your brother's wedding and he's in all the photos, and it's like like you're saying, maybe even you're like, I don't know if we should put him in, and your mom's being like, no, get him in here, let's get him in here, and you're like, we're not gonna like these memories 10 years from now.
So there was an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and basically the gist was one of the guys dates people and gets too or like he does this stuff where he brings people to these things where like, you're not, this person is not like has not made the inroads to deserve to be at this spot, but you have brought them anyway. So you're going through all these occasions, and she goes, who's this bitch? Who's this bitch? who's this bitch? And it's like, yeah, so Pac, obviously, Danielson and him have this history or whatever else backstage, but like that's not on screen. So like that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Yeah. So it's like, so basically like Pac is there and it's like, all right, in 2 years we're gonna be like, who's this bitch? This bitch ripped, but who is this bitch? Yeah.
Like, do you think it's gonna be like you're gonna look at those photos and be like, and why was Pac there? Like, oh right, he was the new trios champion with two men that he'd rarely exchanged words with on screen.
Right.
And then Mox is coming back and he's just like doing a whole different thing and having like, it hasn't, and then he just came back. I get it. Like you can let it play out, but it is kind of like, so are you just going to like not do this anymore? Which is kind of fine. Cause if you're not going to do something cool, then fine. Yeah. Just ignore it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of weird that he didn't mention Bryan Danielson winning at all. But it's not like I'm jonesing for him to come back to the BCC. So I guess it's fine. We'll see where he's going with this.
Yeah, it's one of those things that begs the question. Like not answering it begs the question. Like, well, what the hell? So like that had to be intentional.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Like that's too big of a gaffe not to. That means like we're slow burning to get to that point. And it might mean, they're waiting for Kingston.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn you. Why all the best ideas based on people being injured?
I know.
Wrestling delayed injuries. Damn it.
It's just constantly waiting on a man. That's what wrestling is.
You say waiting on a man?
Waiting on a man. When we get that man back, things are really going to start to cook.
So this is what it feels. So this is what it feels like when women talk about like men wasting their time.
Yeah,
this is what it feels like.
Yeah. Just constantly being like, when he shapes up,
when he
gets it together, then things are going to be smooth sailing.
Right, and your friend is just being like, it's never going to happen. He'll come back for a week and then he'll break his ankle again. Okay, we can't be hung up on this guy. He'll come back for a week and then his guts are going to fall out of his body. James looks like he's having a revelation. He says, well,
I'm thinking some things through right now. I honestly am. I'm thinking some things through.
Okay. Let's check in. So we already talked about the Casino Gauntlet a little bit. We have got let's just talk about two things. One, Christian Cage won this. And now he has a title shot. And James is cracking up. And they teased once again that Luchasaurus is going to turn on Christian, but he didn't. I would say that's like the fifth time we've teased that, which is more funny than anything. I'm not mad, but it does keep happening. It's a little Lucy in the football. What did you guys think about Christian getting this win now? And now he can cash in this title shot whenever he wants.
He's the best. He's the best. Like he avoids the Jericho and Jarrett slander while being about as the same level of carnage, just about. And because like his character is so likable and his character is so good. Like he shows up, and that's the one thing. Like he won the Gauntlet. It's like, why would he win the Gauntlet? That means Danielson's winning, and it's like, oh yeah, Danielson's dad is dead.
Yeah. The writing was on the wall. The writing had been on the wall, but it was even more on the wall.
Yeah, like this, like the day after that, like the next show, the very show after All Out, like Chris is gonna show up with that fucking turtleneck on. Right now, here's my question: when he comes out there, like, do you think his? I'm sorry for digressing, but I'm sorry.
No, take us there.
Right. Do you think, like, his turtlenecks? He has different turtlenecks. He has the turtleneck for wrestling, which is sleeveless, and then he has the regular turtleneck that's long sleeve that he wears underneath the jacket. Or do you think he's actually with the sleeveless turtleneck underneath the jacket? Because if he's in there with the sleeveless turtleneck underneath the jacket, that's absurd.
I want to say that at one point we did see that it was the sleeveless turtleneck under the jacket.
Joking.
That could be slander, but I really think that we saw it at least once.
I need the people that are listening to this podcast. I need someone to verify that they did see him out the jacket and he was in the sleeveless joint because that is absurd. But yeah, like, it's gonna happen, and the crowd is gonna lose. The crowd is gonna lose their mind when it happens. Gonna lose it.
I'm definitely not mad at this because I love Christian and I think that's so fun. And I'm like, he's someone that could make Bryan Danielson have an interesting feud. But it was like the 5th time in the night that I was like, and another old man got the moment. Interesting.
I was halfway expecting to be like, God damn it, Hangman didn't win. Flip a table. This is bullshit.
It's like at a certain point, you're just like, well, Tony's doing something on a plane that I can't access. Like he really said, like, All In is for my beloved old men. They're getting so old and I'm going to have to send them off to the old dog sanctuary soon, but not before I give them a really big night at
really
Wembley.
Big night. Yeah. It's like the last meal sort of thing.
I'm going to have these dogs put down tomorrow. So they're getting steak tonight.
Wow.
Okay, so that...
They were such good boys.
They're such good boys.
Such good boys.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett was such a good boy. He got a big Wembley moment.
And then our second thing is we met a new man, Ricochet. We've heard a lot about him. We'd never seen him before. We were interested. What can you tell? What do we need to know about this man?
I want to say probably before 2018, he was the best flyer in the world.
Really?
Okay. The best flyer in the world. It was him, then Ospreay, then it became him. He went to WWE. He toned down his act. But we're still having some of the best matches in WWE in that era in NXT. With people like Adam Cole and Gargano and Ciampa and Velveteen Dream, Matt Riddle. Yikes.
I know all those names.
Sorry?
I said I know all those names. I was so excited.
Yeah, they're infamous. Those last 2 names are very infamous now.
Yeah, not all good.
But yeah, but he's an incredible talent, and like he still can do. I can't say the stuff he was doing in Dragon Gate, where he was doing double moonsaults.
Yeah.
He doesn't do double moonsaults anymore, but the Sammy Guevara 630, he's the one that kind of popularized that.
Wow.
Like Sammy Guevara does the 630 because of Ricochet, probably.
Right.
He's incredible. And also, I don't know if you know this, but your man's trained him.
Chuck Taylor trained him. We did know that. That's the one thing I knew about him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he definitely didn't train him on all the flippity stuff, but as far as the how to, make a crowd, control the crowd, that kind of stuff, that's definitely a part of it. But yeah, like he's he had a match in 2016 with Ospreay and Best Super Juniors that like basically broke the internet or wrestling Twitter at the time, because it was people talk about video game wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People talk about anime wrestling. This was a superhero fight.
Yeah.
It was a flat out superhero fight. And it's fucking awesome. And like the kids will be wrestling like that in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whatever else. And but people want the wrestling to remain in the 80s. So whatever. He's incredible. I will note that I did notice, similar to Rey Mysterio Jr. In his 2010s run, that like he's wearing baggier pants, and that might be insane for Shawn Michaels, where it's like, oh, they might be wearing knee brace underneath those.
Oh.
So that's something to keep track of when you see people wearing baggier jeans or baggier like long pants. Like they might be hiding knee braces underneath that. But he's still incredible. That Fletcher match, that is the low expectation of what you expect a match should be between those guys at that caliber. But if they already teasing an Ospreay match and like another Ospreay match, and like when that match is going to happen, it's going to be it'll be similar to like if you ever got an Ospreay Phoenix match. It's that kind of like freakish athleticism.
Yeah.
If his knees hold up.
Yeah. Now, people kept saying, I saw today that he seemed tired, Ricochet, at the end of the Fletcher match, which I didn't really notice. But do you think that he actually has to like get in a different shape for AEW than he was for WWE?
I think there'll be an adjustment period, because obviously, like you wrestle how you wrestle on the indies, and as far as pacing, and then you get to WWE and they tell you, at least in NXT, they're more or less, they tell you do everything you normally do except just slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you'll watch a Rey Mysterio match. Like I remember a Rey and Andrade match when Andrade just came up from NXT.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the best TV matches that WWE ever had at that point, or like for that decade. It's 4.5 star match, or 4.25 star match, maybe 4.5. That's where American wrestling for AEW, right? We're like one of the best matches in the on TV in a decade is like 4.25, as opposed to like you might get that every other weekend on Dynamite.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that match is incredible, but the match is like it's basically the 2018 version of like a Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio match from '97, except like it's just a hair slower.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you plug in Andrade's moves that Eddie moves, but like they're doing stuff that's like you only really ever saw Ray do that kind of stuff and that kind of level of trust with Eddie, or like psychosis. So yeah, like but the main thing is like they tell you if you're just a spectacular wrestler, just slow down.
Yeah.
Just slow down. And there'll be an adjust period just for anybody where it's like, I haven't had to wrestle the best of the best and wrestle at my old pace.
Yeah.
I think he'll catch up. And the one thing about it is like everybody, if AEW had debuted a year earlier, he's one of the launching stars.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean they're going to launch him now or it's going to work out. But I'm saying if he had showed up, if AEW had started in 2018 to 19, he signs with AEW, he goes there and like he is, Ray. You start seeing Ray finish versus Omega matches or whatever else. He would have been no doubt one of the first TNT champions.
Yeah.
And maybe would have been in the picture, the title picture, but. The thing is with him is like he's not a great promo. He never was. He's not a great promo. He never was. Yikes. But but the thing for him is like he should have been the Black Rey Mysterio Jr. in WWE, and it never happened for him for various reasons.
Well, that's a bummer about the promo because I desperately need
we like
when
we get some good promos. But so, I did immediately like what he was up to.
He can be a good promo when it's so there's different levels of promos, right? Like there's the Eddie Kingston, the Moxley, the Mark Briscoe, where it's like you just hand them the mic and just tell them to go.
And they'll just talk.
And then there are people like Danielson, like Kyle O'Reilly, where it's like they're not an over the top character necessarily, but like once you give them, or even it's like Swerve. I think Swerve is like this too. You give them an opponent, you give them something to aim at, and they're just as effective as the guys that can talk forever about anything.
Yes. And that's an interesting way to phrase it, because actually I think like I prefer the guys that can have a back and forth, but more than the guys
it's considered
that can
psychological back and forth. Like that's something where I'm like, well, I'm unwilling to give Danielson credit for this at this moment in his career, but I know what you mean when you say it about
like he Swerve. So like for example, like the Moxley and Danielson stuff in 2022, whereas like they're teased and they're like like that stuff, the Danielson and Hangman stuff, right? That's the kind of like you give them an opponent or the Kingston stuff, like you give them an opponent and they can make it work in the context of the opponent. But as far as coming out there and just being like, come out and kind of be the master of ceremonies, like a John Cena, a Cody, a CM Punk, that not really their thing. So like Ricochet, he's at his most effective when it's like there's an opponent and there's a pre-tape. He can make good pre-tape promos. Like I remember there was one with him and Mustafa Ali a few years ago. That was actually really fun. It was kind of like it was almost like a mini version of like what's the show they do that they preview the pay-per-view on? They put it on TNT or TBS. It's almost like the
0 Hour, the Road to.
Oh, it's like a Road to,
yeah, the Road to. Like it was kind of like one of those where it's like it was one of those like really short that was on. They put it on Twitter of them kind of like showing like their lifestyles and their juxtapositions and also their commonality as they go to face each other, like just like similar like real life fighting what they do to sell the fights, right?
Yeah,
and it worked really well. But the problem is like it's pro wrestling, and pro wrestling people. There's an over-reliance on doing promos or talking segments in front of crowds because it's a live audience, so you want to do something entertaining.
Yeah.
But you have to know people's strengths, right? Like Mariah, I don't think Mariah May up until this week, honestly, is a good in front of the crowd promo.
Right.
But the one she did when she's, shitting on Champaign, Illinois, that worked.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. Do you think Ricochet is going to have chemistry with MJF? Because I was wondering about the two of them. That could be fun. No, he's rolling his eyes. I would say that was an elaborate eye roll.
Yeah. Just don't talk to me about MJF.
If MJF decides not to be a hack,
get his ass.
Right, and I know a part of him thinks like, if me being a hack is the heat for the more cultured wrestling fans, like, yeah, man, like I kind of need to get back to not having these awful like it returns or retorts, right? Like when you go, don't call a black person a crackhead.
Certainly don't.
No,
right? Because they're skinny, like. Don't do the name stuff with Takeshita.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't or whatever it was, or whatever the hell that came up with having Juice Robinson put Friedman on a roll of nickels. Like, don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
Man has really put us through it for the past year. Yeah. I'll say that. There's always something new to say. I'm really not sure why you did that.
I'm starting to think his instincts might not be so good.
I mean, the further and further away we get from the CM Punk feud, it's like CM Punk was the whisperer for him.
Yeah.
We didn't know it.
Yeah.
We just didn't know it. But yeah, like, and then you'll be down on him for 2 weeks and he'll do something awesome. And you're like, he's so talented. Why can't he get it the fuck together?
I know.
Yeah, that's the thing with him. And also but like with Ricochet is like, I've already seen the jokes is like he's gonna call him Ricochet or something like that.
Oh my God.
It's like
that is gonna happen. That's absolutely gonna happen. Yeah.
And it's like when people are already calling out like the part where they think you're a hack is like, that's a real spot. You might want to, start thinking a little deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go below the surface.
Well, while we're on the topic of MJF, why don't we check in on what he did this week? So we had MJF and Ospreay fought it all in. Ospreay won the belt back and rejected the American belt and got back the original belt. And he did do the Tiger Driver, which is the culmination of that storyline that hadn't really maybe gone the way that one might have wanted it to go in terms of interest, but it's fine. He did it, and that's good. The match was it did have not shenanigans. I guess MJF was trying to cheat or something, and Danny Garcia interrupted to stop him from cheating, and he was masked, so his big reveal, like, he's back. And they exchanged looks, and MJF cut a promo on Dynamite this week. Where, what did he even say? Oh, he just said he was hurting and he didn't feel good and he lost his
the most relatable. Yeah, it was the most relatable I think MJF's ever been. The fact that he came into the ring and he was like, I have a headache right now. You guys are all yelling. You're getting on my nerves. I'm like, that's how I start work meetings, is I just rock in and start screaming about how everybody gives me a headache.
This is like, she says that at the beginning of your work meetings. I believe this was not in the recap, but I believe at one point he started shouting, Daniel Garcia, you child, you little boy, which I was obsessed with because I was like, that's what I yell at the wrestlers too, but complimentary. And then Danny Garcia came out and they got into a little fisticuffs situation. Security pulls them off each other. Vice Principal Christopher Daniels is down there in the cafeteria again, being like, if you kids don't stop starting food fights, I swear to God. And they are going to fight at All Out. And Danny Garcia said that he pawned the Dynamite Diamond ring in Buffalo, New York. So, and this segment was under 10 minutes, and multiple people that I was watching the show with were clocking it. So that's what we were looking for. We said we simply have to spend less time on these segments. That's step one. What did you guys think?
Short and sweet for MJF, and I thought it was I thought it was effective, and we'll see I guess, because Dan Garcia's contract situation is a thing.
Yeah.
As far as we don't know if he's resigned or not, but it ends somewhere in like October. So there could just be the send off. But like either way, like this is the perfect place for that storyline to have ended the way it did, and then for it to come back through this way. I thought it was really well done, and interested the fight. I'm interested in the match because like it's one thing for MJF to do the super indie stuff with Ospreay. It's another thing to go in there and try to build something with Garcia, because Garcia is not the super indie-rific flippy dude. He is he's a Danielson disciple.
Yeah. Technical wrestling.
Oh God. I hear enough of this shit from Rich. Technical wrestling, boo. Like, it's the base. It is the basics of what makes this thing work. You can't not have technical wrestling in your wrestling match and expect it to be any worth a damn.
But maybe, but what if you didn't have any? What if you never had any? No, just kidding. On this podcast, we respect technical wrestling and we like it.
But submissions are awesome. It's just people use them wrong. Like so like when people do, like back in the day when this doesn't happen as much anymore, but like the slap on some submission and just lay there or whatever else until the crowd reacts, like that sucks. That's always sucked.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's just what people pretended you have to do because like it was 260-pound dudes that were on steroids, had no gas tank.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that it's hard for me to sometimes put into words what I don't like about technical wrestling, but it ends up being like when it just feels like it's two guys just rolling around for a very long time, like pretzeling, and you're just like, okay,
it, but we don't.
I know.
God.
Move it along.
You get your sprayer out, James. Just give us a little spritz. It's okay. Now I'm thinking about like a Dax Harwood match, and I'm all good. I'm not heated up anymore.
Oh wow. That
doesn't. There's no there. Doesn't do it for me.
So that's the stash you don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. Don't like anything.
No, not good.
Don't like the.
Not good.
Don't like any part of it.
So Dax Harwood stash or Michael Jordan Hitler mustache stash.
Oh.
Power rank it.
The actual mustache or on the face?
The actual mustache. Rank it.
I've got to look at Dax's.
The part where you have to look and consider a pro wrestler that is at the most whiny versus the Hitler mustache is wild. You have to.
Yeah, the mustache is worse.
Huh?
No. Of course, the Hitler mustache is worse, but does it come with the face? Because it's like if it's between like I'm having a loving romantic moment with Michael Jordan with the Hitler mustache or Dax with this mustache that I would like on another man, it's gonna be Hitler Michael.
See, I didn't add none of that. You did.
Well, but I was trying to think about the context. I really feel like Chuck Taylor is on Poppin' Dogs right now, where it's like the people are being like, where he used to ask everybody, which NJPW wrestler do you most want to kiss? And then everybody that he asked would be like, for what? And he would be like, for pleasure. And they would be like, is someone making me? Like, do I have to? And he's like, no, you want to. And then they would just look like, I don't really understand the question. That's what's happening here right now.
Okay.
James said, I just put the sprayer down. I don't want to deal with this. Which mustache is it for you?
I'm sorry?
Which mustache do you want to kiss, James?
I don't do mustaches. That's not a thing for me.
I didn't know we were allowed to opt out and pick neither mustache. That's what I choose to do.
I was opting out on the part where like I don't want to fuck either one of them. That's kind of.
To be fair, I also don't want to fuck either of them.
Yeah, same. Wow.
You should have. I didn't say you had to. You just went with that. You took it and ran with it. I just presented a question.
What were you asking if I wanted to do with the mustache?
I just wanted a simple power ranking, and then you took it to the power ranking include like pleasure. And I was like, whoa,
sports talk. A simple power ranking. We don't do that on this show. I don't know what that means. I don't know what a power ranking is. My God.
Just based off aesthetics, which is the superior mustache? Just
Dax
aesthetically.
has the better mustache, but he's the worst man.
But the thing is,
that's
a part of that was the joke. It was because I was like, hey, you got to choose between Dax, who you do not like, or the Hitler mustache. And the part where you went to consider, you had to go through it. And I was like, wait, you hate Dax that much? You consider him?
I had to think about it. I mean, to be honest, I did have to think about it.
Yeah, I don't like that man.
I really hate Dax Harwood
more than Hitler.
Well, it's not more than Hitler. But
Hitler's
kind of more than Michael Jordan.
Because of him.
Maybe it's in its own way a weakness of mine to see the Hitler mustache and not be able to separate it from Hitler himself.
Maybe it's a Michael Jordan mustache.
The Jordan mustache. Yeah,
he's reclaiming it.
So you're going the Charlie Chaplin route. That's what you're doing. That's what we're doing. There's only 3 motherfuckers we've ever seen with this kind of mustache that I can recall.
Did Buster Keaton have that one too? Let's look.
Who the fuck is Buster Keaton?
He didn't have any mustache, so I was really wrong about that. But just an old man, just a little old timey man.
Is that any chance you're related to Michael Keaton? I don't know. I
don't know, but it's not impossible.
Hold on. I'm scrolling. I am now scrolled 3 times. I see no mustache on Buster Keaton.
He doesn't have any. I was wrong about it.
Okay.
James. I was wrong.
Okay. All right.
Well,
what's your favorite Buster Keaton movie?
I don't think I've ever seen one. I just know of him. I just know his name.
You know his name, but
I know his name, and I thought he had a little
facial hair,
but he doesn't.
All right.
I don't think
we've careened this into a ditch. we are in the ocean now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Tunnel Talk episode unless we've gone off the rails.
That's true. That's what we promised the people, and we deliver it every week. Look, let's get back on track. Let's talk about Mariah and Toni. Mariah and Toni fought it all in. And Mariah won. She is the new women's world champ. Really forgot what was going on there for a second. She cut, as you mentioned, James, live promo this week on the people of Champaign, Illinois. Yes, that's the state they're in. And she didn't like what she saw there. She said they needed a little glamour, and she gave him a little peep show, and then she took it back. We didn't hear from Toni yet, did we?
No.
Okay. What did you guys think of the match and the outcome?
Great match. And I thought that it I think it's a long-term success for the promotion in the division, that they made that commitment and they stuck with it. And Toni kept improving her matches with working with the character, and then for this to pay off. And I think Mariah, they have overachieved what I thought was what was capable for her, incapable of that division until this year. So big success, super happy. And I thought that this was the best promo she's ever done. She's just consulting the crowd, and she gave them a little flash, and then all that kind of stuff. And I thought that doing that with Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone just acting, reacting like a tunnel talker, I thought it was great. I thought it was great.
He played that perfectly. His little face was just so funny. Like every expression on his face, I was like, this is what I want to be seeing. Yeah. It was very fun how, like, going into this pay-per-view, I was like, Toni and Mariah is the match that I'm excited to see. I'm really hoping it paid off. And then it did in the best possible way. And my friend Hannah, who was watching for the first time, was like, that was the match that she sat up for and like paid attention, and was like, really. And I was like, yeah, that one honestly outperformed, and it had high expectations coming in.
Yeah.
Ruled. Absolutely ruled. And Mariah slapped the shit out of her own mother.
Yeah.
That was one of the better. That was like a Stephanie McMahon approved slap. Like, she has a history of slapping people in like such a way where it's like they may have been concussed. And she slapped the shit out of her mom.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like, this match was watching Mariah in Stardom the year before she showed up here, and watching her in that tournament, the Grand Prix, and also tagging with Mina in 2023. Like, it was a lot of her having to show and prove. Like there have been a dime a dozen blonde white women that come into Stardom that are pretty, that they brought in and they can't work a lick, or they improve, or whatever. So they come in for like a month and then go away. She was there for the whole year. And so for her to stick around, like people like Jamie Hayter, people like Toni Storm that stayed there for had long stints.
Yeah.
They all improved their stock going there. And like I was happy to see that, like what I saw in Japan when people immediately wrote her off. Like she's a, they looked at her and immediately started judging the book by the cover.
Yeah.
And, she came in and she immediately was like, she had a level of competency for the amount of match that she had. I thought like she might have something. And then she kept improving. Yeah. And then she was in the tournament, the G1 equivalent tournament or the Continental Classic equivalent tournament for Stardom, the Grand Prix. And she had consistently good matches. And like the one thing I enjoyed about her was like, she was physical. She was willing to go out here and get thrown around like all the other girls in Japan get thrown around.
Yeah.
And with the slaps and stuff like that is straight out of the white belt territory for Stardom, where it's like this emotional match of people just slapping each other because of hate or love or jealousy or whatever else and emotion. And then they start throwing the suplexes and throwing us a little bit of Luther here. And very happy for both of them. Very happy for both of them.
Yeah. And you correct me if I'm wrong about this, James, but I think you had been like a little concerned about whether this match was going to go back into that like gimmick territory or like some of the earlier Tony matches. I feel like but you felt like, no, it worked.
I was concerned because, like it's been a learning process for Tony throughout the whole time. And I think it wasn't until like about the time, I think when Azumi came in like this like late spring, is when she started turning it around. Like I remember there was a match that Toni Storm had with on pay-per-view. It was
Diana.
The Diana match where it's like was completely it was the bad technical wrestling. It was like the thing that makes technical wrestling work is it's the music. It's more or less supposed to be the music between the notes.
Yeah.
Like, but the notes are supposed to be like the striking.
Yeah.
Like when Danielson starts kicking people, or like that's the part that's supposed to be expressive. Or you see a high spot or whatever else. So like that was just undynamic. It was like they were just rolling around on the floor, as y'all said.
Yeah.
And like I thought, given that they talked about how they used to be friends and they had to break up, that it would be more like what we saw in Wimbledon.
Yes.
Yeah. Or at least something to approach that. Maybe it wasn't that high of stakes, but like something where it's like it's emotional. Y'all are angry at each other. Y'all are feels kind of way about your breakup and you want to get out in the ring. That's kind of the crux of when I watch Joshi wrestling. Is like these people have spent a long time together and they end up breaking up or whatever else, and they finally see in the ring, and then it's like, you hurt me, or you're in denial that you hurt me, and I'm going to show you you can't run from me.
Yeah.
And that one is like, just roll around like a regular old match. It's like, okay, that's not what you sold us.
Yeah, I was incredibly startled by that because I've seen people like have no chemistry in promos and then they go on to have no chemistry in the ring, and you're like, okay, well, these people don't work out. I've never seen people have amazing chemistry in promos and do an amazing job bouncing off each other and then get in the ring and nothing. I've never seen that happen before. I was like, this is crazy. They were lighting it up on the mic and then they got in the ring and it was like, oh, this is so boring.
That's why you should fuck before you get married.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
No.
I don't. I'm going to keep saying it until someone moves to change the subject.
Oh my
James,
goodness.
do you think that Mina is going to side with Mariah, or do you think she'll like surprise everybody and go with Tony?
I think there is more tread on the tire if she goes with Tony.
I agree.
Yeah.
I wanted to pick Tony. I feel like people are automatically assuming she's going to pick Mariah, but I actually think it would be way sexier and cool and more fun if she picks Tony.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And also that immediately makes an instant challenger for Mariah.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you on that. Like I think it makes more sense to do it that way, and then you can figure out where she settles in from there. Because if that were to happen, because we don't know if she's signed or not, or if she's going to sign or not.
Yeah, but I did.
That's me rolling my eyes.
I did hear you guys on ONR saying she had moved to the US and I was driving at that time and jerked the wheel like something and almost drove off the
You put her in danger.
I was pretty excited. She's moved to the US.
Now, you've seen Mina only in AEW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched one Stardom match, but I don't think she was in that.
Okay. Yeah. Like if I've talked to you about like the emotional stuff in Stardom and like that kind of tension. Like she was in a lot of those. She was in a lot of those, especially in the last 2 years. So this is something right in her wheelhouse. If like the frenemies on a big stage thing, like she had a match where she was the white belt champion, basically their IC championship or TNT championship, and then she had a TNT versus like world title championship double title match against like the person that brought her into helped her into the company, and then she left. She basically graduated from left the left the nest from. And to get back to her or whatever else, because like she felt like she wasn't like her main subject of affection at the time, and then like she came back like a year later, or not a year later, but a few months later, and then like she failed, and like she was like, it was a great match, but it was one of those things where it's like it was heartbreaking in a way.
Yeah.
So like she's really good at it when she's on her game. She's really good at it, but she can be very wacky, and sometimes her instincts are like to do like, because she grew up on New Japan Pro Wrestling, like her instincts are to like do like Great Muta stuff.
Yeah.
And Great Muta, for being a fantastic large in life character, sometimes it's not jive with what you want to see sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but if she's just going to be Mina Shirakawa and not like her bloody angel gimmick or whatever else,
yeah,
she'll be perfectly fine. And you already seen her. She's really good. She's really good.
Let me ask a big picture question that just kind of covers a number of these topics. So we had Mercedes Britt fighting at All In, match that maybe didn't go as well as it could have, and incited a lot of controversy. We also had the return of Jamie Hayter during the pre-show into a feud with Saraya and Harley Cameron. And we did have a Jamie Harley Cameron match this week. So we've got a variety of different things cooking in the women's division.
Yeah.
What are we excited about? What are we interested in? What would we like to see in a division that is much better than it used to be?
Yeah.
Willow Stat.
Oh, we have Willow Stat. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Willow Stat Chicago Street Fight. That's what I'm most interested in. Beside right now.
Is it a stip?
Yes, it's Chicago Street Fight.
Okay. Yeah. I totally missed.
It's going to be all out. It's going to be all
awesome.
out. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
That's, I mean, because I was like, why isn't this on All In? And then it's like, oh, Britt, okay, cool. And then it's like, oh, you had 17 minutes on that, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm super excited about that. I'm interested to see where the Jamie and Harley Cameron and Saraya thing goes. And I gotta say, like, why is it that Saraya is good at getting everybody else over but herself?
Some people do just have that ability. Yeah. They are better as a side flavor.
Toni Storm leaving Outcast.
Yeah.
The love triangle, or like not love triangle, because like Paige trying to sabotage Ruby and Leonard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now now you have Harley Cameron like playing off of Saraya. I like her.
Really fun.
I know,
really
it's
fun.
So
I like
fun.
Her. I like her.
So fun.
And also like she's also appears to have something in the ring. I'm not saying she's great or anything, but like she has a level of competency in the ring that like somebody, I think she's already better than Britt and Saraya.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that when she was just doing kind of that gimmick where she was hitting on Anthony Bowens every week, and I never saw her wrestle. I didn't realize that she was like good, medium good, certainly inoffensive. I'm not,
didn't know either.
Yeah. I really am enjoying her. I don't know if you saw the promo that was on social media today, but there was like she was laying flat out on a speaker
when Saraya dropped her.
Yeah.
That's what made me be like, you know what? The match, the other little stuff I see from time to time with like her with before Ruby went, went off TV.
Yeah.
I've liked her, and I've also, and the reason why I like her is like her interactions, like playing off of
Soraya.
Yeah.
She's got incredible timing.
Yeah. Very good comedic timing.
Yeah.
Division? Yeah, they've been so fun together.
Yeah, and then it's also like I don't know if you guys watch it, but like, and then on pay-per-view on Ring of Honor, like they'll have Billy Starks versus Red Velvet. They'll have Diamante versus Layla Hirsch in a street fight, and then they'll have Athena versus Queen Amanada. Like
these women are being held captive.
Like I wasn't saying that the shit on Britt Baker right now. Not right now anyway. But,
yeah.
Like I'm just saying, like the 180, the way that the wagons have circled around like women's conrests.
Yeah.
Like this year has been like remarkable. And like the only thing I can point to is like, thank you, Mercedes, for deciding to show up and making him give a fuck. Because I've always said like he ain't giving a fuck, and it's apparent, and people are like, it's fine. Like, no, I know what people giving a fuck looks like.
Right. Our friend Mary has said a number of times that Tony would never improve the women's division until someone gave him an incentive to do so.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what Mercedes did, is that like she put him in a position where he felt incentivized to fix the women's division. And I think she sent out a newsletter, I think either today or yesterday or something, talking about Tony and Mariah and being like, the women's division was never allowed to have a story that would go longer than 2 or 3 weeks. And so this was the first one that was allowed to go 10 months. And it was like, it fucking ruled. And if Mercedes had any part in that rules.
Yeah. I mean, that incentive is I paid her a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if it works. She paid Saraya a lot of money too, but we didn't really see that. We didn't really see that payoff, did we? Not as much. I
think Tony Khan's argument would be like, which I would hate to hear, is, well, she got the entrance at Wembley, and it's like she got the entrance with her bigoted family to Freddie Mercury. You have no idea how much that infuriates me.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah,
it's not super chill.
No.
Well, I think that I like big takeaway there for me is you let him play out longer. I mean, Willow and Chris, even though I don't think that they managed to like keep the intensity up as much as I wanted to at a certain point. But like, again, a long-term storyline where like, for the most part, I was very invested and interested in like, okay, what's going to happen next? And it was clear that something was going to happen next and they weren't just going to drop it.
Yeah.
Yep. Same.
Yeah. Okay, very, very quickly, final topic. We can't leave without talking about our tag teams, our beloved tag teams. Well, not FDR. So we had our tag team three-way at All In. That was the Acclaimed, FTR, and the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks retained their tag team belts. Afterwards, I guess that they've been on the show before, or we just heard about them.
I think that they were on the show at least once, but like they weren't signed, right?
Okay.
I think that was the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know what their names are right now.
I think it is Grizzled. Yeah. Oh, their real names?
Yeah. No. I meant like the name they're going to have in AEW, or are they going to keep?
Oh, yeah. I think
it is Grizzled Young Vets.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, they came out, the Bucks were kind of skedaddling in their like Weasley EVP way, just being like, well, you have fun there. They savaged FTR, so it's an immediate off to a good start for us.
Of course. I'm like, oh, you're pandering to me. Immediately, I love you.
I'm prepared. And you're a new tag team. We actually bought a new tag team. Huge if true. This week on Dynamite, we did get a backstage promo from Wembley that was the Bucks kind of being like, oh, well, we'll kind of make friends with you. And Grizzled Young Vet said, no, you won't. And I don't know if they have an upcoming. Oh, they do have a match coming up on Rampage versus the Outrunners. Thoughts on the tag team division?
They were on NXT, right, James?
Yes. They were on NXT UK. And then eventually they came, and then like basically once that got boarded up and shut down, then a lot of the Brits came over to regular NXT. Grizzly Young Vets is they're one of the better tag teams in NXT history. Mm-hmm. They are kind of like FTR if they did flips or did more flips. As far as in the ring. Now, far as but Zach Gibson is a dynamic promo. He will come into your city and shit on your city similar to how Christian can.
Okay.
He's one of those.
Okay.
He I remember one time in 2022 they had a tag team tournament NXT annually called the Dusty Rhodes Cup because Dusty Rhodes in the legendary tag team with Dick Murdoch, we'll find out later was a KKK member. Anyway, sorry, gotta digress. The story is from Dusty Rhodes that Dick Murdoch took him to a KKK meeting and he didn't realize it was a KKK meeting, and all of a sudden he looked up, he's like, "Oh, it's a KKK meeting. I gotta go, Dick. I'm out of here."
Oh my god!
Anyway,
oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Anyway, so in 2020 they put together Pete Dunne. I don't know if you know who that is. In WWE, he was a guy that they turned into Butch and named him Butch, and then they turned him back to Pete Dunne because why would you call Pete Dunne Butch? Why would you give anybody the name Butch and not a last name? That makes no goddamn sense. Anyway, Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle were a tag team, and Pete Dunne was the NXT UK champion for 500 days. He was the champion that Walter beat or Gunther beat for the belt before he ended up eventually in WWE. Anyway, he's a great champion, technical wrestler, killer. A lot of the Danielson stuff as well. And then Matt Riddle's with him. So I remember Gibson, he came out and was like, "What? You guys even have a name? What are you?" And then he decides because it's Riddle, he's like, what is your name? Joint Manipulation? I fucking howled. Gibson's a good promo. And that's desperately needed for this tag division because either there are people that there's no complete team. They're one of these teams that are more complete than the others. They're really good in the ring. They have fun matches. They're big guys, so they can base for people, for smaller guys. So I can see them wrestling Private Party and having a killer match, or Top Flight having a killer match.
Yeah.
And they can also get heat on those guys because Zach Gibson is a dick. He's an absolute asshole that gets good heat the good way. He's not a hack.
Yeah.
And so he can have, so they can revitalize his division. I think, for about a year now, it's new teams put Moxie's been down cycle, put him in a tag team with Claudio.
Yeah.
They're doing the collision stuff that should not exist. They were doing the Jay White stuff with Jay White and Juice Robinson versus FTR. Jay White and Juice is a great tag team.
Yeah.
But they went with the trio scene because they had to do the ass boys. And you can't and they're gonna be a faction. You can't let them be the better tag team when they're the tag team.
Yeah.
So they're doing trios and all that kind of stuff. There are answers, Golden Jets when that was a thing that we talked about. They had options. They could have did Seth Gods, but Sammy got suspended. There are all these options, all these routes to plug into booster this tag division that needs it because the Young Bucks make so much goddamn money, and so does FTR, that you should be making these teams that downcycle people when they're not in the title hunt to make these compelling matchups.
Yeah.
It has been lackluster.
Yeah,
so
it has.
So when you get a good team in there, I'm like, yes. And also it's sadly, my beloved Lucha Bros seem to be leaving AEW.
I know.
There's a spot.
Yeah.
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 They're not as good as Lucha Bros, but my point is they can.
Well,
they can fill that gap for now.
Yeah, the things you've described have pleased me.
Yes.
It does sound like things that we desperately need right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing that we can't have anymore is the Young Bucks and FTR fighting over and over again because they're the only two tag teams that Tony's paying a lot of money. And he says, well, I'll just put those action figures together again. I don't want to see it. I can't be seeing that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the match was very good. The tag match, the trios or triple that triangle tag match. But I thought this was the best that the Young Bucks have tried in a regular rules match in a while, or something similar to a regular rules match, not in our Korean Arena, Blood and Guts. In a while. So I'm not concerned about like, oh my God, are they cooked? Are they injured? Are they beat up? No, they were moving around. They were wrestling their ass off. So was FTR. So was Bowens. They need a new opponent badly.
Yes.
Yeah.
They need a new opponent badly, and they need a new opponent that's been built up as an actual viable threat for this. And I
need them to get their Swerve, the person that's going to call them out for hosting.
Yeah. I mean, if it would have happened, like if they had, like, they've been teasing around and they've been wrestling each other a lot this year, but like O'Reilly and Roddy Strong would have been that. O'Reilly and Strong are one of the best tag teams of all time. But they would have been perfect to play with the Young Bucks. They've been perfect. They're perfect opponents for each other. They're perfect opponents for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But O'Reilly is in conglomeration. Even if you want to do that, do O'Reilly and Mark Briscoe versus the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Do it.
Do you think that they are moving towards Kyle Roddy like tagging? Like, where is this conglomeration thing going? Is that working towards that in some way? Or like, we have been doing it for quite a while now.
I think it's basically like, all right, so remember when Stat joined Best Friends out of nowhere? It's like, oh, we added an alien. This is seemingly like Orange Cassidy's like band of misfit toys.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'll add a Mark Briscoe, I'll add a Kyle O'Reilly, I'll add Willow after Stat screwed me over, and obviously like I was still kind of acquaintances with Willow. I'll add Ishii because Ishii, like before Okada joined the EVPs, like we were Chaos Chaos West. So like we already have a familiar connection because we already did a tag match together, Orange Cassidy. So like, yeah, he's over here for now. Yeah, there's all that stuff. So I enjoy them when they're together because like I like all of them.
Yeah,
all the collaboration.
Right.
So,
yes.
But like, I think the part where like they have no identity is their identity. Like it's supposed to be like I don't want to say a train wreck. It's supposed to be like a mismatch or whatever. Supposed to be, like from week to week, you'll enjoy them and like. But it's like I need them in like something. Well, it's just like they're headed towards this learning tree thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like,
God, I forgot. Yeah.
I think that's needed to get them into something for the trio stuff, and two, get Jericho far away from Hook.
Yeah.
So so I'm looking forward to it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel fine about that. And I agree that like, the mismatchiness is a charm, and I really don't object to the conglomeration. Like I have fun with them. I think it's just like them being locked in a feud with the same people for so long and not getting that movement on anything. Like, okay, Kyle and Roddy have this stuff going on. Like, is that going to come to a head? Like, it feels like they're building to Kyle kind of going off again, but we're going slow. We're going slow on some of these.
Yeah.
I said we could go a little faster, I think.
And another thing, right? We were talking about all these people in holding patterns.
Yes.
What if they've been holding off this Roddy and Kyle thing for so long because they're waiting on Adam Cole?
God,
James, no. James,
no.
Look at what the Booker does. This is what the Booker does.
Don't shoot the messenger.
He's got to stop doing this. He's got to stop holding people. This is crazy.
Now, the thing for me is like, the reason why I'm thinking like that might actually be a thing is because like, why in the world does Roddy Strong keep coming out to the Undisputed Kingdom stuff?
Yeah.
He still comes out to that. After the match, like Taven beat up Hook. Taven and Bennett both beat up Hook.
Yeah.
After that Quattros match. So it's like they're still, even though we've all, for artistic purposes, when MJF brainbustered Adam Cole on that pay-per-view, like basically killed off that storyline.
Yeah.
They're still keeping that faction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, have any of y'all seen like the pictures on the back of the milk carton for Wardlow?
I did just the other day, I suddenly thought, where is Wardlow? Is he leaving us? Is he going to the Fed?
I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on with Wardlow.
I forgot.
Other than like he's off because Adam Cole's off.
Oh,
I forgot that he existed.
I forgot that they were in a faction together.
Completely
Right.
forgot.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well,
that was World's End.
Wow.
That was the very last week of December.
That's the last time we saw Wardlow?
No. I'm saying that when they launched
so you're right.
When they launched I'm the devil. It was me all along, MJF.
Oh God.
I was the devil.
We've been through some rough stuff. We've been through some rough stuff in the past year. I don't dislike Adam Cole, but
are you at the point now where it's like, what is all the hype about, given that everything keeps getting injured or taken off TV / is unfulfilling?
Yeah, and it wouldn't be, I think it's like, if I didn't like being reminded just now that is probably the reason that partly the reason we're in this holding pattern, because it's like, we come back to it again. Wrestling is about waiting on a man, but I don't like that. We can't be waiting on this fragile man. Sorry, Adam Cole. I'm so sorry. I hope you're healing well. I'm sorry, but you broke yourself like pretty crazy.
At least the last time it was concussions, and you're like, okay, that's understandable. That's something that is something that you don't understand the time frame on that, right?
Yeah.
But when it's like, wait, you broke your ankle like at all?
Shattered.
Was that at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show? Was that at Grand Slam?
No. A year ago?
It might have been.
Yeah, he broke it at
oh my God, you're right. You're right, because they fought at All In and then literally a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
You must be right.
That happened in like September.
Oh God.
It happened in September. He broke his ankle in September.
That's crazy.
He ain't had a wrestling match since. It is like, okay, bro. Maybe you got some look. There are rumors and innuendo that there's something going on with his personal life and so I whatever. So it's not just that, but it's like, damn, bro. Are you really that broke up to where you shattered an ankle and you've been going for almost a year? Not like something tricky like, he tore something in his hip or he tore something in his shoulder, he blew his knee out or something. It's like something that like historically can be tricky. Bones break, they set, you put pins and rods in and you get the fuck back out there. Right. What is missing? I don't understand. It's not your spine. Nah, I sound like an asshole. I'm probably an asshole. Fair enough. I'm probably an asshole. This dude's injured. I'm sure the dude has been working day and night to get back at wrestling. I'm frustrated. Yeah. No. I'll take that on that. Anyone that hears this and think I'm an asshole, fair enough. No. I was an asshole in this one.
We don't want Adam Cole to be injured, but we also think to ourselves, can't move on when he is injured. Can't we have just a normal time and then he'll come back in?
Right.
We'll slot him in when the time is right. We can't. Everything can't stop for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was always a thing that was always said that plans change.
Plans change.
Yeah. And I think Tony's plans need to change more often when things happen.
That is the problem when you commit to long form storytelling, is that sometimes it will bite you in your ass. Like sometimes you will have possibly the best feud in WWE history being ran at your developmental program, and then when you go to have the match, the villain gets his neck disqualification to where he medically disqualifies, so therefore you have to then just scrap it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later you get to it, and then the pandemic happens, and then you have to have the final match being held inside the PC with no one there and being recorded in the dark. And it basically taints the history of one of the greatest feuds in the company's history, and people laugh at it now.
Wow.
That's what happened to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa from 2018 to 2020.
Wow. Wow.
Long form storytelling. Oh, we're going to New York for the pay-per-view to get the belt on Johnny. Oh, this Ciampa's neck's fucked up. Oh, well, throw Adam Cole in there. Oh, he had one of the greatest matches in the company's history with Adam Cole out of nowhere? Okay. 2 years later, we're going to get back to it now, finally, because Ciampa's back. Oh, COVID-19. Sorry, go wrestle in the dark. Go wrestle in the dark.
Fuck. I think we can sum the Booker's challenge up with a quote from a wise man. You've got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away, and you've got to know when to run.
Yeah, sunk costs. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that's all the topics that we have. James, was there anything that you were hoping to discuss or expecting us to discuss that we didn't get to? Maybe something repulsive that you thought that we would say, but we didn't say it?
No, not necessarily. I just remember when you had Rich on, you asked him all sorts of personal things, and I was like, oh, how is this going to go?
We asked Rich personal questions?
Like, asked him stuff about his life, his relationships with certain people.
We had him on an interview, I think.
Yeah.
But you
maybe that was an interview. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
you were co-hosting. You were doing work. I don't know why.
I just press play. I don't read the stuff. Sorry.
Now, James, if you want to be asked those personal questions, we will have you back for a special guest episode.
Yeah. I believe in our
you would get to play some of our fun games.
Yeah. I believe in our host channel, Jeremy at one point said that he's known you for a bazillion years, and yet he knows absolutely nothing about your personal. Or was it Josh who said that? There was absolutely nothing about your personal life, and I was very intrigued about that.
I mean, I think that's exaggeration, but yeah, I'm kind of a private person.
So you wouldn't want to be like interrogated for our pleasure?
If it produced something funny, sure, I guess.
I think it would.
Like I thought that was a part of the trial I was under, but luckily
we were really well behaved. Actually, I think everyone's gonna be proud of us.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Well, what I've heard is that you will be back again to be interrogated, to play some games. See, he looks excited, actually. He looks really excited. You can't see it. But
I mean, sometimes for 1 second, it's like a wave of intrigue and another wave of like terror. Like, do I want to disclose these things? Am I going to have to figure out a lie really quick to not answer these questions? I'm going to have to omit or plead the fifth.
Hey, you don't have to tell us the truth. You don't have to be interesting.
You would never lie to us.
Yeah. Sorry, say again.
I said you would never lie to us. Leah said that you can.
I said that you can lie to us as long as you're interesting about it.
I didn't agree.
Okay. I'll whip up something, I guess.
Hey, we can trade you. We'll do half an interview where we interrogate you about your personal life, and then we'll play like a cast wrestlers as comic book characters game.
You give him like it's like an easy mode game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like carrot and stick, right? Like he lets us ask him about.
I see. Mm-hmm. I see. He doesn't have to play the dating game.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you said a carrot on a stick, right? So the carrot is hanging on the other side of like a floor full of like broken glass, and I have no
yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be a really cool match.
The hell? Why not?
The blood will be very earned. The context is going to make it all pay off.
All right, fair enough. I'm up for it.
Thank goodness. Okay, well then you guys will hear from us and James again at some point in the future. I've been Allie.
I've been Leah.
And I've been James.
Yes, and this has been Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Birkin. You can find us on Twitter and Tumblr at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email, tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. James, do you have anything that you want to pitch here at the end?
No.
Well, we'll pitch it for you. We think that you should go listen to One Nation Radio, one of our favorite weekly wrestling podcasts. You can find the One Nation Radio guys and us and everybody else on the Social Suplex Network feed, on that feed, on the Social Suplex Network Discord. Rate, review, subscribe, do all those things. Stay frosty, as I love to say, and please come back next week. Did I thank you? Thank you, James, for coming. Did I say that?
No problem.
Cut that in and say, thank you so much, James, for joining us tonight.
No problem.
That was a good show.